Can we just go in the Wayback Machine temporarily? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Bill. Good old Hammerschmidt. The Justin Hammer of Bill Hemmers. This is, I think, the moment when Fox News calls the race for Raphael Warnock. And I have been avoiding watching this just so that we can share it together. I'm thinking about even doing a segment of stuff that old clips that they had posted and other places have posted about shit that I was right about and they were horribly wrong about. And we get to look back on their premonitions about what was going to happen, or their assessment of the current state of affairs economically, with Ukraine, with the United States, with China, and all that kind of stuff. And just look at just how ignorant and full of shit they were at the same time. Oh, and by the way, one of the reasons why they love these kind of maps is that the red sections and the blue sections are, the color is intense no matter what the population. If you look at this map, it's actually a much better population map than it is a map of the balance of voters in a state. Because the red areas, like, you could argue that the blue areas are where all the people are, and the red areas are where there are very few people by comparison. Balance to balance, like, it's not as bad as the imbalance in Arizona or New Mexico, but it's pretty goddamn close in most southern states. Large swaths of land, lots of counties, because they love making counties, with very few people in them. Districts, these are all, by the way, insofar as I know, they have a district map and a county map. Hard to tell which one they're using at any given time. But let's watch them. Can we watch it together? Can we share this moment? These are these magic moments. Okay, and wait, I have to.
Right now, the Associated Press has just given the check mark to Raphael Warnock.
It's just, he got that. He got it in his ear, and he had to tell him. He had to admit to it, and it's quiet. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit. There you go.
He's going back to the U.S. Senate as the winner of this runoff against Herschel Walker. Right now at 50.4% to Walker's 49.6%. Raphael Warnock has won the runoff in Georgia 4 weeks after we held the midterms in 2022, which in effect, Laura, gives you the balance of power now in the Senate.
Ouch!
Democrats at 51.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I have to.
Republicans at 49.
Sorry, can you say that again real quick? Let me just, if I may. Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Democrats at 51.
Uh-huh.
Republicans at 49.
Right.
Majority's 51, and that's for the Democrats.
Okay.
Republicans at 49.
Okay, thanks.
Democrats at 51.
Uh-huh.
Republicans at 49. Majority's 51, and that's where the Democrats have reached. This means essentially that Kamala Harris will not have to break any tie-breaking votes.
Right, which is what I said, by the way. Like, this is what Republicans, this is what we fought all night to get back to. Our turf, our little piece of turf. Yeah, they were fighting just so that Kamala Harris wouldn't have to get in a car, go over to the Capitol, and go, go back to whatever the fuck she was doing.
This means, in effect, that on the committee votes, when you have legislation that's on the margins, Democrats and Joe Biden will have a slight edge after this victory tonight.
And shit could get locked up in committee with 2 people against it.
Bill Hammer, I'd like to say this is surprising, but it's not.
No, it isn't. Because, Laura Ingraham, because you suck. Because your network sucks, and the party you support sucks, and your candidate sucked, and you sucked. And it just sucked. The whole thing sucks.
This is what we expected, and look, the Senate Democrats, I would argue, did a much better job. And
well, they had help. Hi. You know, there was some of us out there that were carrying the torch and telling everybody it was going to work out this way and raising spirits and getting people motivated while the leader of your asshole party, whatever you want to call it right now, I don't even know if you would call it a political party, but with the remnants, the ashes, the giblets of whatever's left over, the Republican Party was telling everyone not to vote. While the rest of us was, the rest of us were telling everybody to, kind of, I don't know, give a shit. It's a novel approach.
And they got the early vote out, and Brian Kemp gave his list and did a late night kind of video call, but.
Yeah, which was killer. And the commitment was amazing. You could tell he felt it, and he's never been more excited to back a candidate than Herschel Walker.
I mean, you got to have the operation in effect. As always. Guys, we appreciate it. Bill, stay.
Yeah, Bill, just thanks, man, for nothing, you fuck. Ugh. Stay there, though. You're our poor man's Kornacki. How does it feel? How does it feel to be a bad photostat of Steve Kornacki?
Stay with us. All right, we have more.
Thank God.
All right, we're not going to more. We got to go.
Please let me go to break. Please let me go to break. Son of a bitch.
Molly Hemingway. Sorry, I have a whole script in front of me. Molly Hemingway and, of course, Kellyanne Conway. Molly, you and I talked about this.
Everyone's smiling. We're all smiling. And we're all in muted fall colors. We're dressed as the dying leaves of the trees as America's fall goes into dark winter of democracy, which is the worst thing. And I would be here dressed as a pumpkin, but there's a rule at Fox.
It's about a week ago.
Oh God. You can't spring Laura Ingraham on me.
We felt this coming.
Don't. Stop it. These people are in mourning. I'm not.
To me, it never felt like the Senate Republicans wanted this guy in office.
Weird. I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why every Republican in the Senate, bar none, wouldn't look at Herschel Walker and go, yeah, he represents the finest conservative minds. Screw the House, screw local office, screw governorships and lieutenant governors and comptrollers and mayors. No, get this man in the highest body next to the presidency. And you're telling me that they weren't like that the Republicans in the Senate weren't going, yeah, I understand him. He understands me.
He was a Trump pick. They didn't like that.
Yeah, it was because he was a Trump pick, not because he was an asshole.
Probably like him as a person, Herschel as a person, but there wasn't the intensity on the part of the Republicans as there was on the part of the Democrats. I felt it, you felt it, but we don't change anything. We have the same people in place in leadership, same people in place apparently at the RNC. Perhaps that's not changing.
Nope.
We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm pissed tonight, frankly. Go ahead.
Go ahead. That's just magnificent. That's gorgeous. That's fantastic. Can we watch that again?
Perhaps that's not changing.
No, and by the way, it isn't.
We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm pissed tonight, frankly. Go.
It's just so good. And people wonder why I was like, I didn't even have to watch the fucking race last night. I had people coming up to me at the Jam last night between sound check and the show and going, Walker pulled ahead in this news. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Warnock's going to win. Go sit down. Have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. And they was like, but don't trust me. And then she even, I think, said, why does it take so long to count these, the Democratic counties? Because they're the ones with all the fucking people, dumbass. Hi, Somewhere in Time. Welcome. That's so fun.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really offensive.
I'm mad.
For Republican voters.
Yeah, it's so offensive. And by the way, the fuck your feelings crowd is feeling fucked right in the feelings right now, and it is not nice.
Republican donors who have put so much into having.
Not as much as Democratic donors, but in all fairness, a bunch of them bought Tesla stock. So, ooh.
Some wins, and they just see kind of failure across the board.
Yeah. And that bothers them. Why? How is that not the standard? You do realize that you guys elected Donald Trump, the world's greatest fuck up, the only man who wasn't knocked off in office. I would argue Kennedy and Garfield and Lincoln would like a word, that didn't make their life worse by becoming president.
There aren't people who are working on early voting or banking ballots. There's no clear messaging. I mean, you look at what happened since the midterm election.
Wait a minute. What do you mean no clear messaging? It was vampires versus werewolves, okay? If you want to see a kid's film, you rent a neighbor's kid. Have a bunch of abortions and be against them, because it's not like you're going to jail. What was unclear about the message? I think voters got the message, don't you?
Where you had a Senate that basically responded to those disappointing midterm losses by doing nothing other than sabotaging their own base. What is the case for voting Republican for the Senate after these midterms?
I agree. Yeah, I think, as a matter of fact, if I was anti-voting like a lot of these fuckers are, I would say just, I'd just give it up. I wouldn't even bother again. However, I'm not, and I fear that when people stop voting, they start doing other shit to get their political will. So I'm for people who I'm against voting so that they can get their political feelings off their chest, win or lose, on a fair playing field with the rest of humanity, as opposed to checking out of voting altogether and deciding that they can solve it with Second Amendment solutions and bullshit like that.
I don't think one was even attempted to be made.
No, I mean, have you looked at the Republican Party? They're awful, just awful.
And yeah, nothing seems to be changing. But
no, it's not going to. I think you should revive the Whig Party.
Didn't see a lot of enthusiasm down there. Of course, the
enthusiasm
spending was completely
3-1.
It was just.
Look at how close it was, though. I mean, in the end, what did we say? This was winnable, Kellyanne. I know you don't want any change. You want Ronna McDaniel. I like Ronna McDaniel. Isn't this like a warning sign flashing, or we just?
I like her. You like her, but she's a fucking moron. I mean, obviously, you and I have terrible judgment.
Just going to keep doing the same thing all over again every single election.
Oh, come for the defense. And by the way, I've got to say, of all the people who are getting filler these days, I got to say, Kellyanne Conway has got everybody on Fox should go to her esthetician, not Kimberly Guilfoyle's.
Well, Kevin McCarthy won the House. He won the House.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Redistricting won the House, dipshit.
Yes, he did.
And you're not going to hold it.
We were outspent 3-1 here.
Why?
There's no excuse.
Because it was going to be a loser from the beginning. Because they could see this coming a fucking mile away.
There's no excuse in Georgia for us not to have done what Brian Kemp did. Yes, he's the incumbent governor. He's very popular. He's running against Stacey Abrams.
And anybody who voted for Kemp was giving a middle finger to Trump, and Walker was Trump's candidate. And so you see the rub.
But he turned out over his micro-targeting plan, his grassroots people, and I guess Mitch McConnell's group funded it. But they did that in the last couple of days.
He funded
it?
What
did 4 weeks ago.
Did Mitch McConnell appear down?
Well, they spent what they did on him, but they also knew it was a loser. And none of them fucking wanted him. He's a dumbass. He's completely unqualified. It's fucking embarrassing. As a matter of fact, the Senate Republicans more than likely actively were praying that Walker didn't get in the Senate. Because as dumb as he has been on the trail, can you fucking well imagine what he would be like in the well of the Senate giving speeches or offering up amendments, for fuck's sake? I guarantee the Republicans were like, all right, fuck this. No. All right, we'll let it be close because we don't want to undermine the voting bloc. But shit, just spend enough money to get him within swinging distance. But ugh.
We could have won that seat outright 4 weeks ago.
No, you couldn't. And again, the only reason he got close in that one was because of the fuck you vote for Kemp.
We wouldn't even had to have a runoff. Herschel Walker could have won. I think he was one of the most improved candidates of the cycle.
Most improved. Jesus Christ. What was the standard when he started? In the beginning, he was walking around eating paste. At least we got him to just talking about vampires, werewolves, and renting kids.
We had some duds of candidates this time. He was out there working hard, but we need to...
Yeah, well, as opposed to working smart.
Not just compete for votes, for ballots. We need to compete for ballots. If we don't bank ballots early, we're going to keep...
This sounds if Mike Pillow was here, he would be very upset with this whole conversation. We have to get rid of the machines.
But we didn't.
But we didn't.
But we didn't do it in 2020 because everyone said don't vote early because that's corrupt.
Oh.
Not everyone.
Yeah. Not everyone. Just the fucking president.
Well,
Yes,
a lot of people did.
Yeah. A lot of people on her network and everybody on Newsmax and RAV and OAN and fucking Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and like every hardcore Republican activist and Mike fucking Pillow was saying, don't fucking vote early. Go on the day so you can really vote.
At the very top of the Republican Party.
Yes, people did.
But Molly,
And
Mitch McConnell did give 11
it.
million to the effort. That's 14 million to the effort in Georgia. But where was the all hands on deck? You got Lindsey Graham. He was there.
Arguably doing more damage than good.
He did a lot.
Every senator
Yes, he did.
should have been there. Every female senator should have been
But
there.
why?
Wait a minute. Every female senator should have been there defending the dude who held a gun to his ex's head, who played Russian roulette, who has a bunch of fucking kids he's never met, and that all the while screaming at black fathers to be more in their kids' lives and being holier than thou about that, and then like cajoling women into abortions and then trying to outlaw it forever. And so the Republican women had a job to do. Throw yourself in front of the Herschel Walker tour bus.
I'm going to ask the question tonight. Nobody wants to talk about this. Why weren't they down there?
Because he's an idiot and a terrible candidate, and none of them wanted to serve next to him. And they, in their own minds, they dodged a political bullet. I mean, you can't win them all, and better luck next time, because fuck that dude. And ultimately, they weren't going to put it all on the fucking line and line themselves up next to that shithead when it didn't matter. It's one vote per committee.
Molly.
I think that if they had needed this seat to have a majority in the Senate, you actually would have seen the establishment in D.C. caring a little bit about it. They obviously didn't care about it once it wouldn't have mattered there. But also there's an issue of...
Yeah, again, isn't it up to the voters of fucking Georgia?
People talk about giving money to different races. We're very good...
She means Senate races and congressional races, not... Never mind. I just have to clarify that because it is... Fox.
Seeing how money can go around to different people. The Republican Party gives money to consultants. They need to care more about winning and less about the means by which races are run. Regardless of who takes over the RNC or regardless if Ronna continues, there need to be massive systematic changes.
Totally. I think they should all, I revive the Whig Party, or they should split. Anybody, like, there should be a MAGA party, and then some should join the Forward Party, and others should try to retain the name like Republicans, kind of like Jack Russell's Great White or Stephen Piercy's Rat Experience. You know what I mean?
To the whole way that races are being handled, the consultants who are running them.
Well, the consultants who get paid
for decades,
and paid.
Why are we paying these people to tell us that we're doing it wrong, and we don't listen to them, and we just do it the fuck anyways, and then blame them after the fact? Because I guarantee you, all the consultants were like, dude's a fucking goner. This is just bullshit. Like, you can get him within a distance, but the motivation's on the other side. It's not going to fucking happen.
Regardless of outcome, they do.
Pollsters,
it's called
lobbyists.
What do you mean, regardless of outcome, they do? Trump lost in 2020 and you were having him pick fucking candidates. What are you talking about? Like the consultants are the fucking problem?
Consultants. These people are the only growth industry left in Washington, D.C., frankly.
Well, I like to say, I've been talking about this for years. They're walking, I put it in my
By the way, that's what she does.
book. They're walking RICO violation, staph infection. Candidates often lose, consultants always win. And they're nameless, by the way. Most of the consultants who make the most money and have for decades, Laura, the losing Romney race was $1 billion. And they're all still
strategies.
around.
Those are some.
I mean, they're still around.
Yeah, but he came within a squeaker. The Republicans had completely fucked every opportunity to run a decent candidate. It wasn't the consultants' fault that their own party turned against Romney.
But guess what? Nobody even knows who they are. In other words, the average donor, average Laura Ingraham viewer right now can't name those people.
Why would we? Who gives a rat fuck who the consultants were? Isn't it the candidate and their chief of staff or, their main staff? Isn't it their job to vet what the consultants are saying them and either take that advice or go against it? The reason you don't know is because they would also have to come out and go, well, I gave him some advice and it was pick somebody else. And he didn't listen to me. That's why they're all nameless. Because the minute you name them, then you call onto the carpet what parts of their advice was bad or good. And every consultant would come out and write a fucking book about, here's all the shit I told John McCain about Sarah Palin, and he told me to go pound sand. And here's all the shit that, Romney was insistent, like, that we not run from the binders full of women shit. It was his idea to actually have a binder of the women that he's vetting to be in his cabinet and be his potential VP, and for fuck's sake. Right? That's why you don't hear about them. Because the minute you hear about them, they get a chance to defend themselves. It's as much in the candidate's interest as it is in the people who talk to them. And still, ultimately, no matter what your consultants fucking say, it's on you. Where's the responsibility? Where's the idea that the Republicans, they're always decrying is like leadership and finally somebody who isn't handled by the chattering class and the elites and the insiders and the beltway and blah, blah, blah. And Trump's supposed to be this fucking dude. And he's the one actually consulting these people. He's the one telling them, don't apologize. If you're shitting your pants, keep shitting. Right? Fucking hell.
The way they can name Molly and
maybe they should be named.
But by the way,
yes, name and shame them. I love that idea. Here's a good idea. Laura Ingraham, go on your show and name the top 5 losing consultants on the Republican side for the last 6 cycles. Do it. There's no fucking way they would do this. Never.
Way they are nameless, but they are not blameless. and
who gives a shit? The consultants don't vote. The consultants don't make the decisions. The candidate does. If you got bad advice, you paid for that bad advice. And if you hired people who failed multiple times, why the fuck is it their fault? I don't even understand the argument here. Jesus Christ.
Republicans hire them. These people have been recycled from campaign to campaign to campaign, but there is no accountability.
But they're going to blame Herschel Walker tonight. They're going to blame Donald.
Wait a minute. Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity have been, guiding voices for the Republican side through these last 6 cycles especially, and they've screwed the pooch multiple times. Why isn't it Laura Ingraham's fault? She's nameless and not blameless. They're the ones crafting the message that often trickles down and the candidate uses. So, specifically Sean Hannity had a fucking direct line. Sean Hannity is one of the consultants. And by the way, Hannity at one point was giving Trump advice on January 6th anyways, in the text that we saw, that was at the very least on a base level sane and recognized the threat that this fucker was under and was like, "This, you're destroying your legacy. You gotta do something." And what did Trump do? He fucking ignored him. So does Laura Ingraham name and shame Sean Hannity for being somebody, chattering in Trump's ear for all the losses that have been caused by Trump being a fucking lunatic since he lost because he's taking advice from Sean Hannity? Or I retract that. I would say he's not taking the advice. He's just hearing the advice. At some point, it's on the fucking candidate.
Trump, and I just want some facts laid out here. I know Mitch McConnell early on said he wanted David Perdue or Kelly Loeffler to run against Raphael Warnock.
Doug Collins would have been a
They said that.
Shit, Laura agrees.
From the beginning. But Mitch McConnell endorsed Herschel a long time ago. Like, this didn't happen yesterday. Everybody said they were all in, but we didn't see all the senators there. Where were the other 49 Republican senators?
Why? I don't believe it's just because it's 49-51.
Well, that vote mattered. Nobody wants Kamala Harris to break ties. The only thing she ever does is break ties. It's the only progress she's ever made. But that doesn't even matter.
It does matter. And the word progress is, I think, the tell.
This is Georgia. We should be winning Georgia.
We're about to see a cram down of this omnibus bill, perhaps, meaning the Senate leadership would rather work with Schumer than have a chance to work with Kevin McCarthy in the new year.
A chance? Dude, she doesn't even know Kevin McCarthy's got the fucking job. Oh, it's so good.
That speaks volumes, Molly. I know you guys have written about it over at the Federalist.
Well, and talking again about the role that Mitch McConnell plays here. Mitch McConnell loved those candidates 2 years ago. They also lost. And
so did the Colorado nominee.
We have an issue where the Republican Party needs to think about how it's winning elections.
No. I think the Republican Party has to think about how it's losing elections. You don't really have to think about when you're winning. You just more of that, I suppose. Oh, it's so good.
And it is not thinking about that at all. And it talks about candidate quality. Mitch McConnell sabotaged Republican candidates and the voters who picked them by saying that the candidates were bad.
Are you fucking kidding me? Herschel Walker is an imbecile. He's gross. He's too cute by half about violent shit in his past. His own son came out and went, fuck this dude. Every time he turned around, he had another kid he'd never met. What the fuck is wrong with you? And the thing is, it'd be one thing if he had a kid he didn't know and he was like, oh my God, what an enormous gift and what a loss of time I didn't get to spend with this child. I wish I had known this child was mine earlier. I did not know that kind of, and I look forward to the time I get to spend, and I want to make up for lost time. And I don't necessarily blame their mom. Maybe they just found out that they did a DNA test or something like that, or they did 23andMe and got a big shock back. But whatever happened, this is my child. I couldn't be more proud, and I love them unconditionally, and I want to help, in any way that I can move forward. Like, it wasn't that. It was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't know who the fuck she is. It's your kids, DNA. I don't give a shit. Like, that was the response. The response was like, fuck off. Every time. It just got worse. What are you talking about? He was one of the worst Senate candidates in American history. Period. End of story. And he was running against a reverend.
Well, we have now in the Senate a plan for Republicans to help Chuck Schumer with massive spending package. They're doing nothing to stop it. What about the candidate quality of these current senators who don't care about their base, who don't care about the direction of the country?
Yes, I think you should attack them, not physically, but I suggest is I think the Federalists should write a series of articles about every sitting Republican senator and how they are absolute shit and no one should vote for them. And to vote for them, you might as well vote for a Democrat. You think she's buying it? I think it'll work. pretty sure.
And are more than happy to work with Democrats than wait.
Always.
Yes,
always. Now, I want to play this.
Then wait what? More than happy to work with Democrats, then wait. Wait for what? You guys to reclaim the Senate? Maybe? How long will the voters in those states wait? So you just as senators, your job is to be a roadblock on everything, not find common ground in a democracy. Your whole fucking gig is just to be a goddamn speed bump. How's the Federalist not fucking embarrassed by this? I mean, I know it's a shit rag, but that's just ridiculous. What voter, like, what are they? And by the way, none of them are going to do it. None of them even would, like, fuck, if Walker was in there, he wouldn't stiff arm federal funds for highways or infrastructure or fucking broadband or defense spending or healthcare or any of that shit. So the idea that he wouldn't do that, he wouldn't work across it until we had a majority, we could shove it right down there. Like, that kind of mentality is absurd. It's fucking absurd. Because all of these Republicans are taking credit for stuff from the infrastructure bill that they fucking voted against. It's just stupid. This is hilarious. Like, the lack of self-awareness and irony is incredible.
This moment from last night with Kevin McCarthy on the show. He had a piece of advice for Mitch McConnell. We give enormous credit.
By the way, I think Mitch McConnell still has his job. Let's see if Kevin can keep his.
By the way, for all the judicial nominees he's pushed through for all the years, huge credit for that. But
not, and again, you fuckers wouldn't have the SCOTUS wins without Mitch McConnell. I can't stand the fucking dude, but he's been eminently more successful than anybody else in the Republican Party at getting what you guys fucking want, including Trump. Nothing Trump did lasted. And the wall itself, because of the access roads that had to be made to create the wall, it's easier to get across the southern border than before the wall existed. Like, everything Trump touches dies. It's garbage. Like, these assholes owe so much to Mitch McConnell for just getting anything, which is like the SCOTUS wins that they've been getting are horrifying and awful. But you can't argue that that's what they've been fighting for a long time. And Mitch McConnell's the reason they got it. He got Gorsuch on. He basically stole 3 seats.
It comes to this omnibus issue. Watch this.
We're 28 days away from Republicans having the gavel. We would be stronger in every negotiation. So any Republican that's out there trying to work with them is wrong.
So that
why
includes
wouldn't you
Mitch
wait with the
McConnell?
hand
Does that
stronger?
include McConnell?
Yes. Why would you want to work on anything?
Look how his eyes are closing and holding for a while, because he knows he has to pass it anyways. Again, this is a lie too.
If we have the gavel inside Congress.
You just
See how his eyes are closing and just holding inside Congress. He knows he's full of shit. He knows they have to pass the omnibus. He's not gonna strangle. He doesn't have the votes to stop it they have to bring it to a vote. McCarthy is not going to stop it from being brought to a vote by himself. And he doesn't have the votes himself, even when they take control, to stop it from being passed. Because there's too many Republicans that will sign off on it.
Have a stronger. Yes, wait till we're in charge.
In the Hill today, all these unnamed sources among the Senate senior leadership and friends of the minority leader.
People Laura knows personally.
Well, we didn't think Kevin McCarthy was going to be able to get anything through. So they never.
He's not. He's not going to be able to get anything through. If this majority lasts 3 months, it'll be a fucking miracle.
Go on the record. They never defend the merits of their position.
They don't have one, dummy.
It's always unnamed sources. They never give real interviews about why this omnibus is the right way to go.
Why don't you explain why it isn't? Instead of just calling it an omnibus and decrying spending. Oh, because you have to bring up the fact that the Biden administration is cutting the deficit and the debt. Oh.
Never will hear from them.
The true leakers in Washington. I thought your interview with Leader McCarthy was masterful last night.
It was masterful. We learned so much, and yet saw so little.
And I thought his answer was perfect.
Yes, it's a perfect answer to an imperfect question. And I blame you, Laura.
Basically, they've been waiting for 4 years to get the majority
Right.
back. You can wait another month, everybody. You waited 4 years, you could wait 4 weeks. And his whole point was, wait for us because we actually are going to be in the majority in the House. And Laura...
Yeah, but not by a large enough number to get anything fucking passed. And he's not even sure he's going to be leader.
They have no room for excuses and no reason to not work on the border, energy, economy.
They don't want it.
President of the United States.
No, they don't want it. The Republicans don't want to. Fuckers.
Yeah, but Kevin
They don't
does.
want to. No, Kevin does.
Oh, you mean absolutely? But he invited Joe Biden to the border. That's not a stunt. Joe Biden knows what's going on at the border. He doesn't care. He has been to Delaware 174 days. He's been to the border 0 days, including today. I mean, think about this.
What's he going to do? Spot a hole nobody else saw? Go down there and micromanage? Do a big, we're standing here in front of the slat fence. The Republicans are going to hold up the omnibus bill. In it will be all the immigration and southern border funding. Get the fuck out of here.
74 to nothing. That's a fact, everybody. So, and we know fentanyl is the #1 killer and the rest of it.
And the rest of it. And just, the talking points.
So I think telling Mitch McConnell, especially after tonight, when you clearly don't even have a 50-50 Senate. I mean, it's like, just wait for us over here in the House.
What does
who
it say
actually
for
have the gavels.
2024? If this is what the Republican voters see, what does that tell them?
Yeah. I mean, why would you even vote for these assholes? Honest to God, is this not gorgeous? This whole thing is just, it's like a sunset with a big smiley face in the middle of the sun and daffodils, and the whole thing smells like peach and lavender.
Going into 2024 with all...
Yeah, it's almost like the Republicans are an army of fuck-ups that don't actually want to do anything.
We have a lot of great Senate races coming up in our favor. Is this the way to build that new coalition?
Nope.
Of Hispanics?
By the way, in your favor. You're not going to turn any over. You just know you have a lot of safe seats coming up next time.
This?
I can't imagine how demoralizing this is.
I can't imagine how demoralizing this is. Because, Laura, frankly, I'm a barnacle. I pretend to give a shit about Republican issues and Republican voters and this kind of stuff because it's my job. I work at the Federalist. And what I do, though, is I'm part of the chattering class, which you decry all the time. And yet I'm glad to be a paid regular here on the show. And it's just the whole thing is very, I wish I gave a shit, but then I'm kind of glad I don't.
It does also get back to these policy issues, like if you provide any resistance to what's happening with Democrat control of the Senate, if you work with the new Republican majority in Congress, you can actually generate excitement and enthusiasm.
Why? You're going to run on Party of No again?
For 2 years from now. When
Jesus.
you see when Democrats take over, they come up with really extreme policy proposals, like packing the Supreme Court, ending the filibuster. It's not even the...
By the way, both of those things that weren't sought, but she has to bring those things up specifically. I mean, obviously, Biden did a committee to see what it would take to get us to 13 because we have 13 circuits, and that would be better. But believe me, the demonic aspect of they're doing it like a coven. Okay, Jesus and the 12 apostles. What does that add up to? Anyways.
These things are going to happen, but it's a way of moving things in their direction. They act bold, no matter how small their majority. Republicans, on the other hand, seem to just accept defeat, even when they have won.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't want them in charge of the most powerful and economically prosperous country on the whole fucking planet. I'm not feeling as obviously my feet are in concrete as far as my voting future in a lot of ways. But I'm certainly not hearing a sales pitch on Republicans coming from this lady. Honestly, this is it. This is them we need to convince voters that they should vote for us. And the way to do that is to make sure nothing gets done.
they are worried about pushing anything, and then it has electoral consequences.
Well, the good news is we are increasing among these key groups, Hispanics indisputably, African Americans, Asian Americans, suburban white women came through for Republicans. We won the national vote, but we really ran up the totals in some of these rural districts. Instead of winning with 52, we won with 60.
Got to win the
61.
cities. We got to make
Got to win the cities. And look, but we won in Oregon.
Yeah, we won the places where small communities make percentages look bigger.
In Virginia, New Jersey, New York.
There's good news in the House,
seats.
no doubt.
So we have to build on those coalitions. But Laura, I hate to say we have to invest in the non-sexy parts of politics. The ballot access. You got to bank those early votes. Why are we taking a chance Grandpa can get out of the bathroom that day, let alone the House to vote? Get his vote a month in advance.
Early voting.
By the way, that's why Mike Pillow is almost singularly to blame for how shitty this went for you assholes.
Why are we waiting for that?
Him and Trump.
Molly, your reaction to the Matt Taibbi Twitter stream on what was going on with big tech and this election?
Yeah, like the part where they say that the Trump administration, which was the sitting administration of the United States, asked for the exact same kind of things that the Biden campaign, a private incorporated campaign of someone not in power, they asked for the same thing from them. And somehow the political pressure and the censorship came from the private side of the argument, not the government side. What?
So just amazing.
Jim Baker and the Jim Baker angle, obviously, at Twitter.
So James Baker was at the FBI. He was implicated in the Russia collusion hoax. He left as they were investigating some of the leaks that were happening there. He gets hired at Twitter, and we learned today that he was meddling in the dissemination of these explosive communications.
Yeah, he was meddling in them because apparently his meddling wasn't for shit, because in vetting those documents, they released Jack Dorsey's private email address.
About how Twitter meddled in the 2020 election.
They didn't meddle in the 2020 election.
By suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop.
That didn't meddle in the election. Again, this is like blaming the consultants. If your only argument for you running for office is that the guy you're campaigning against son was an addict for a while, piss off.
Top story, and it's just amazing because he was supposed to be a general counsel for Twitter, and yet he was actively working against Twitter and apparently on behalf of himself and the FBI.
Yes, he was covering his own emails to get his own dick pics taken down.
This is the type of thing that could lead to disbarment.
No, it isn't.
And it is, I sort of say,
gibberish.
Elon Musk got rid of James Baker, which is more than most Republicans did in the entire Russia collusion hoax.
That's right.
If they could only run Elon Musk for president, they would.
Bingo. Ladies, couldn't think of two better people to have on tonight. Thank you.
Well, obviously, because and I think that's a failure of your brain and not a congratulatory moment. And by the way, the sort of pity body language that's happening here, this is not like, you ever see when, like, on election night where, like, Rachel and Joy and everybody have their hands out, like Nicole Wallace, like their hands are out on the desk and there's paper and they're just kind of moving around. And then you can tell when there's just like, yeah, fuck. Like this business. Yeah, it's just very telling.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Great. Hey, Sean, Laura Ingraham thinks you're a fuck up. Anyways, you're watching House Parks Mega Worldwide. That's the clip they posted. I didn't pick that one up. I didn't pick that out of nowhere.